This is the Char-Broil Performance Series TRU-Infrared cooking technology 3-burner, and honestly, this grill stands out the moment you see it. The stainless steel finish looks super sleek and fits right in on a patio, without being too bulky or overwhelming. I remember when I first saw it, I was thinking, is it going to be complicated to use? And does it really cook that much better than other grills? So today, I want to share my experience and walk through what it's actually like to use this grill, both the wins and the small bumps I ran into along the way. Let me start with the looks and overall feel. The design is pretty solid, with clean lines and a modern vibe. It doesn't take up crazy amounts of space, and the cabinet style makes it feel pretty sturdy without adding unnecessary weight. At nearly 95 pounds, it's certainly not featherlight, but it's manageable for most people, and the wheels make it easy to shift around when you need to. I especially like the handle. It's comfortable and doesn't heat up easily, which makes checking on your food a whole lot nicer. When I started using it, what caught my attention right away was the cooking area. You get about 600 square inches of total space, which, according to the specs, fits 16 burgers. I mean, I don't usually grill that many burgers in one go, but it's definitely a plus if you have friends over, or want to make a mix of steaks and veggies at the same time. There's a primary cooking surface with cast iron grates. These are porcelain coated, so they clean up easily, and a smaller warming rack above for sides, buns, or just to keep things hot while you're finishing up the rest. As someone who's dealt with the struggle of juggling ready and just about ready food at the same time, the separate warming rack is a small but super useful touch. Probably the biggest talking point with this grill is the TRU-Infrared cooking technology. Just so it's clear for anyone who's new, instead of allowing direct flames to hit your food, Char-Broil put in an emitter plate that sits between the flames and the food. That plate catches the heat and spreads it evenly across the entire cooking area, while vaporizing any drippings, so you don't get smoke or flare-ups that can burn your food. This system is supposed to make everything cook more evenly and also keeps food juicier, since less direct flame means fewer dried-out pieces. From my experience, the TRU-Infrared feature actually works. I noticed my chicken and veggies came out juicier compared to older, basic grills, and I didn't constantly have to keep an eye on sudden flare-ups, which honestly is always annoying. Even on higher heat settings, I could grill steaks and still have them come out just the way I wanted, without that dried edge you sometimes get. Another thing I appreciated was not having to fight with uneven heat spots. On past grills, I always had places that got either blazing hot or stubbornly lukewarm, and the TRU-Infrared setup here seems to avoid that problem. I do want to mention the preheat time, since that caught me off guard. Char-Broil claims it heats up quickly, and while it's not slow by any means, I don't think it's the absolute fastest. It took just under 10 minutes for the grates to get nicely hot, which is fine for me. But if you're the type who gets impatient waiting on a grill, just keep that in mind. Once it's up to temp though, it holds it steady, and the temperature gauge on top of the hood is accurate enough for everyday grilling. Another big plus is the side burner. I end up using this way more than I thought I would. Sometimes to heat up sauce, occasionally for boiling water, or just to saute some veggies alongside the main grilling. It gives you a kind of outdoor kitchen setup, and I like not having to run back into the house for every little thing. Each burner, there are 3 on the main grill and the bonus side burner, has its own knob, which lets you set up different zones for indirect or direct heat. In practice, that makes it easy to sear steaks on one side while gently cooking kebabs or veggies on the other. As far as actually getting the grill started, it couldn't be much simpler. You connect your propane tank, which I placed under the cabinet, but you could also park it to the side if you're short on space. Turn on the gas knob, then use the ignition button. It sparks right up. At least it did for me, every time I used it. The controls are straightforward and easy to twist, so I never felt like I had to fuss around. One thing I want to be honest about, the grill can get a bit smoky, especially if any drippings pool up under the emitter plate. It's one of those things where you might want to give it a quick brush down before you start a new session, especially if you grilled something messy the last time. Cleaning, otherwise, is pretty manageable. The porcelain-coated cast iron grates make most stuck-on bits slide right off, and the removable drip tray under the grill catches most of the grease and debris. Speaking of maintenance, a concern I read a lot about before buying was potential rusting. I haven't run into serious rust issues yet, but I keep the grill covered when not in use and try to give it a good wipe down after each use. Some folks have said they saw rust develop after a few months, so it's just something to be aware of if you plan to leave it outside in all weather. My advice is to cover it and clean it regularly to make the most of it. I'll also mention storage space. The cabinet underneath isn't huge, but it's handy for holding grilling tools, the propane tank, or whatever else you might need. There's also enough space on the side shelves for prep, chopping, seasoning, or just keeping plates and sauces nearby while you're cooking. In my opinion, the Char-Broil Performance Series TRU-Infrared 3-burner grill is perfect for anyone who wants a reliable, easy-to-operate grill with enough room to handle family meals or small gatherings. It's not as versatile as some high-end models that let you do things like smoke meat or switch between wood and gas. You are mainly getting a straightforward, efficient grilling experience. And if that's what you want, it really delivers. The heat settings aren't the most adaptable ever. I would have liked a little more fine-tuned control, but for most grilling, from my experience, it does what you need. I'd recommend this for anyone from casual grillers to someone a little more experienced who doesn't want a huge learning curve but still cares about getting good, juicy results. Beginners especially will appreciate that you don't need to fuss constantly to avoid burning things. And even seasoned grillers will appreciate the even cooking and how easy it is to clean up afterward. In conclusion, my experience with this grill has been positive overall. I like the modern look, found it simple to get going, and was happy with the results for burgers, chicken, veggies, and more. The TRU-Infrared technology really helps cut out flare-ups and keeps food tender. Some minor things to consider, like covering it to prevent rust and waiting that little extra time to preheat, but honestly, those don't outweigh the benefits for me. If you're looking for a solid gas grill that gives you a little more than the basics and takes a lot of hassle out of the process, this is a great pick. Check the comments of this video for a link to see the current pricing of the Char-Broil Performance Series TRU-Infrared Cooking Technology 3-burner.